Hi everyone, welcome to History Crusaders. In this video, we're going to discuss general aspects from medieval Europe. According to most historians, this period began in 476 AD with the fall of Rome and ended in 1453 AD with the fall of Constantinople and destruction of the Eastern Roman Empire. Now, when I say Middle Ages, what comes to your mind? Well, if you think of other names for this period, like Dark Ages or Medieval Ages, you will notice that there is a negative way of looking at this period. Just think, middle of what? Wasn't there anything important during this period? Why dark? Is it a negative period? Well, the answer to this are Enlightenment thinkers. Philosophers like Voltaire or others that lived during the humanism believed that the time between the classical ages and their modern times was a moment of ignorance, violence, and brutality. Why? Well, they saw that life was more rough, that poverty was extended, that there was little trade or none in some moments, that few people knew how to read and write, mostly people connected to church or to higher classes, that there were many wars, like, for example, the barbarian invasions, crusades, or the Hundred Years' War. There was low life expectancy. But the main reason for this is that they were against the institution and ideals that marked this age Christianity and church. They thought that religion was an obstacle to knowledge and to freedom, that they cared so much in modern times. Now, during the Middle Ages, people was theocentric. Society was theocentric. Theo means God. God was the most important thing for them. Their life was for God. Future life in heaven was more important than present life. This life was just a passage to heaven where they would meet God and all suffering would end. So their daily life was marked by religion and Catholic Church. There was a time to work and there was a time to rest. On Sundays, they would dedicate their day to pray, to go to Mass. They would also dedicate moments to pray during the day or special moments along the year, like the Christian festivities. Also, religion marked the place and the role in society. It was understood as part of God's plan of salvation and will. If you had faith and if you were a good Christian, being a good husband, a good wife, a good serf, or a good Lord towards yourself, you would earn your salvation. Politics were also understood by religion. Nations were Christians. Kings were crowned and anointed, generally in the cathedral, and they were generally crowned by a bishop, or sometimes, in some cases, they were crowned emperors by the pope. Now, let's take a look at some of the barbarian and ignorant achievements from the so called Dark Ages. Gothic cathedrals. If you ever visit Paris, you shouldn't miss visiting Notre Dame or Saint Denis. With an extraordinary system of pillars, columns, and archivolts, builders managed to sustain high ceilings and heavy stones. Beautiful decorated vitraux created a play-light effect and transmitted light and clarity. Other relevant developments of daily use in our time have their origins in the Middle Ages. For example, the glasses or the mechanical clock. Art. Here we have some illuminations in codex made by monks. We can see in more detail the vitraux from the cathedrals. This is a Rosetta in the Notre Dame Cathedral. You can see the detail of the color that they developed. Or, for example, the mosaics that were more common in Eastern and Southern Europe. Another relevant achievement during the Middle Ages were universities. Ignorant medievals could attend to the first universities, for example, at Oxford, Bologna, Salamanca, or La Sorbonne in Paris. Young men could have a classical education, perform perfectioning in maths, arts, philosophy, theology, literature, oratory, music, etc. Teachers had to go under a very strict examination before being teachers in university. Within the walls of abbeys and monasteries, monks and nuns, religious men and women, preserved classical culture for us. They kept the works of classical thinkers in their libraries and copied the texts by hand day after day, since the printing press didn't exist yet. Here we can see some of the thinkers that um, whose texts they copied: Aristotle, Cicero, Plato, among others. Not only religious thinkers were copied. They also developed beautiful chants and hymns that they practiced and recorded in primitive scores. I invite you to listen a bit of Gregorian chant. Well, I invite you to think of two main ideas from this lesson. And I also invite you to watch the following videos from this playlist and to think of a new name to rename this period. Medieval ages isn't enough to call a thousand years period. Thank you for watching.